Hey, you guys, my name is Scott. You're watching Piercing with Scott. And we're going to do live here. It's going to be a little bit different today. And the reason we're doing it a little bit different is this is a call out to all you guys. I need your help. I told you last live stream that I'm doing a show called The Piercing Show. I already have a guest lined up and I have a couple more guests on top of that in the works. But I need some live video questions. And what I mean by that is you can take your phone out and you know, if you have a question like, hey, why is my eyebrow piercing doing this? Now you can actually show your eyebrow and actually say, hey, I've had my eyebrow piercing 3 months. It still has this red bump. Something's going on. And you show me a close-up of it and you tell me about the picture. It can be anything you want, but a live video question. So it's going to come to me and my guest piercer. Now, with all that being said, we're going to jump right into it and start going to have you guys ask some questions, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, today we started a little bit late, and I'm only going to be doing this for maybe about an hour or so. So we're going to get some questions, but we need to save some of those good ones for the video questions. Now, if you do have a video question, the link in the description down below, it's going to send it to ThePiercingShow@gmail.com. It's that simple. So get a live video question and send it to The Piercing Show. Hey, Nova. Nova's in the background today. He's going to be asking some questions for us. Do we have anyone in the chat yet today?
Yes, we do. We have 18 lovely viewers.
18 lovely viewers. Who's all in there? And do we have any questions? Anything coming at me yet?
What's up? That's the big question. So
what's up? Yeah. So like I said, the piercing show's coming out. I need some live piercing questions. Or not live, but some video piercing. So take it with your phone, get some good light, send them to me at ThePiercingShow@gmail.com. So any questions yet?
Yes, we got a few. We also, somebody said that the volume's a little low. Sorry about that. We're having some audio issues today, but I think I've fixed it.
Okay.
So
try to turn up a little bit more, even if we get a little bit of noise, and see if that makes a difference.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we were having a lot of crazy hum earlier, and we had to switch cables around, and we were planning on going live like almost an hour, maybe 2 hours ago, but complications with the technology. It does happen. Indeed. So hope everyone's having a good day. We're here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, we're in December. Can you believe this year's gone by so quickly? It's fairly chilly here. At night, it gets down to about 50 degrees. Like right now, I ran to go get my Dutch Brothers. And by the way, cheers from Dutch Brothers. Yeah, it's nice out. It's like 60, 70, somewhere around there. I don't even know.
We do have a couple questions, actually.
All right, we got some questions.
So let's start it off with Lexi. I've had my nose pierced for almost 2 months now. When can I stop cleaning it twice a day? Do I still need to clean it after that?
Okay, Lexi. So the thing is you need to clean your piercing until you're done with crusties. Crusties are what we're trying to prevent from getting pulled inside your piercing. I'm sure you've had it before where it felt real stingy or pinchy. If that stinginess is happening, it's because crusties got pulled inside. Now, when you spray your piercing, you're wiping off those crusties, and then it shouldn't cause any problems. Now, once you don't have the crusties anymore, you don't need to clean it anymore. That's generally what I tell people. About a month to 2 months, and you should be at the tail end of those crusties. But if you still have the crusties, wait a little bit longer. And I do suggest waiting another couple months before you even think about changing to a ring. You don't want that bump. Good question.
Speaking of bumps, we've also got one from Margot. My doth piercing keeps having a bump. Do you have any tips? Greetings from Holland.
From Holland. Wonderful. Welcome here. Now, I do have some suggestions for you. First of all, if you're wearing earphones, stethoscopes, or any earbuds, things that go in your ear, it's going to put pressure on your piercing, which will cause that bump to happen. So you do need to refrain from those until the piercing heals up. Now, sometimes you put these things in and you're like, oh, it doesn't hurt. It's not putting pressure. Well, obviously it's doing something. So you might need to back away from those. Now, if that's not the case, sometimes we have too small of a ring in there. And if you have a really, really small ring, there's more curve going through a straight piercing, and that's what forces those bumps to happen. So you might need to be upsized to a larger ring. I know it's not what we want, but sometimes that is the answer. And the last thing I would say is like, how are you taking care of it? Are you spinning and rotating it? Because if you're pulling those crusties through, you're gonna have some bumps. And then hopefully you're just cleaning it once to twice a day with a wound wash spray and nothing else. I hope that works for you. Sometimes emu oil can really help calm down upset piercings. So that might be another option for you.
Awesome, thank you. We've got one from Sammy4421. Hey Scott, hope all is well. I had to retire my labret piercing. I'm sad about it, but it had to go. And I'm going to get either a nostril piercing or an eyebrow piercing soon.
Right on. Very cool. It's really a bummer it had to go. I don't know if you were having problems or what happened, but sometimes life happens and you lose piercings, but you know those new ones are right around the corner. That makes it so worth it. Well, not worth it, but makes it easier to retire a piercing if you know you have some new ones coming up. So congratulations on the new ones. Sorry about your loss, though.
Next, from Valeria Lockette. I want to get a rook piercing. What goes good with it? I'm assuming she means jewelry.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that because like it could also be like what other piercings look well with a rook. But with a rook, I'm going to suggest you get pierced with a curved barbell. Sometimes you can add some gems on there. Stay away from chains, any dangles, so you don't want those crusties getting sucked in there. You have to have a little bit of a longer bar for the rook just so you have room for any swelling that happens because it swells for a long time. I have seen people heal them with rings. I really suggest going to the curved barbell first and switching to the ring once everything heals up. It'll be much, much better situation for you. And then I suppose if you're talking about what other piercings go with the rook, it depends on your anatomy and what ear piercings you have in the shape of your ear. If you've watched my series, What Should I Get Pierced? You can see that like I'll suggest other piercings with a rook all the time. But it depends on the shape of your ear and what you got going on to kind of balance things out.
My vote is conch, always.
Conch goes good with everything. You're absolutely right.
That's true. All right, we've got another one, we've got one from Izzy Stemson. Hi, some of my piercings bleed every time I clean them. I've had them for months now. Is this normal?
All right. So first thing that pops into my head is how many piercings are you healing at once right now? Because once you get to a point where you have like 5, 6, 7 piercings, your body's immune system is weaker than it normally should be, and it can't heal those piercings as fast as normal, and they're more likely to get irritated. It also might have to do with your aftercare. Now, if you're using a wound wash spray and you spray directly on your piercings, wait long enough where the crusties get real soft, then you should be able to wipe those crusties off. Now, you don't need to spin or rotate your jewelry. You don't need to move it around, and especially don't let those crusties get pulled inside. The crusties are what's causing your piercing to bleed, and if you need to, back off. You might be cleaning it too much. You need to let your body heal up. So if you don't have crusties or it doesn't seem sore, maybe skip a day here and there just to let your body do more of its work. If you have crusties getting pulled inside, you got to get those crusties off. But if it's not getting pulled inside, it's not causing irritation, it's not the end of the world if you don't clean it for one day or here or there, just to let it get to that strong enough point where you don't cause the bleeding anymore.
Awesome.
One more thing, and I suppose it could be an allergic reaction too. If you have low-end quality, like low-quality jewelry in there, and you have a nickel sensitivity, your body might be reacting to that and trying to keep it open the whole time, hence all the bleeding. So that could be a possibility too, is if you don't have good quality jewelry.
Awesome. This is more a shout out than a question, but
right on.
We got hey Scott, shout out to you and Kelsey from Swamp Ass.
Swamp Ass, huh? I'm not sure I can think of who that is, but that's pretty awesome. Awesome name. Yeah, Kelsey's at work today. I'm just hearts go out to Las Vegas right now because apparently there was just a live shooter not too long ago. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it wasn't too far from the shop, but we are okay. Sad that it still happens.
Very. We've got one from Gizm or Jism. I just got my Medusa piercing removed. Will there always be a scar?
Maybe, probably. It does get less and less with time. I know mine has stayed there the whole time. It depends on your scar. If it's discolored, like if you have darker scar tissue, you could use Mederma, Scargo, or some other brand name scar tissue remover. Rub it in there, and that will take discoloration out, but you'll always have a little bit of a divot or a little dimple from it. I know there are some body modification artists or even surgeons who can remove some of these old piercing scars, but I know it's quite a bit. So, have you ever heard about any of that, Nova?
Not really. Yeah, I'm for the most part, like I've found that scars tend to stay. I mean, you can get some of the products do work, and I've seen people get scars, like, you can get them surgically removed, I guess, some of them.
Yeah, I think they like do like a biopsy punch and they cut the scar tissue out and then sew it shut right away so it's less of a scar. It can make a difference, but I don't know what they would charge for that or where you would even get that done. So
I would think that's like a plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
Probably too much.
yeah, probably too much. If you're really worried about scars on your face, you probably shouldn't get them in those spots where you're worried about it, because piercings do leave scars.
All right, we've got one from a follow-up from Swamp Ass.
Okay.
Is the philtrum piercing something that can fit anyone's anatomy?
No. I have turned people down before, and what I turn people down for with the philtrum is the web. You know, where you pierce like your smiley, there's a web between your gums and your lip, and sometimes that web comes really, really far down, and when you're piercing straight in for that philtrum, the disc will rub up against it and kind of erode a hole, and it's very, very painful, and it doesn't allow it to heal straight because that web's going to push it off to the side. So if you have too much of a web, I will turn you away. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
Let's see, follow-up from Sammy talking about the labret. My teeth and gums were at risk. That's why the labret had to go.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm sorry to hear that. Sometimes that happens where, like, if your metal jewelry going into your gums will cause gum erosion, and it can get to the point where it's like your teeth could even fall out if you let it go long enough. So if, you're feeling funny sensation, or if you notice that gum erosion, you got to take these piercings out. It really, really sucks losing piercings, but teeth are more important than the piercings are, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
This is a quick one from CTS Diva. Where does one get emu oil?
Well, if you're in Las Vegas, you can always come to my shop or set up the appointment and do the shopping, and we sell it there. There are other reputable piercers which will sell emu oil, so you might have to call around. But I think you can also buy it on Amazon. The Desert Palms Emu Ranch, I believe, is for sale on Amazon, and that is the brand that I use. I can't say it's the best or it's the worst, but it definitely works. And the only reason I say that is because, like, I've been using it for years, and it's the only brand I've ever used. But I love it. I love those guys. Great, great stuff.
We've got one from Victor.
Victor?
Let's see. Recently started stretching, and my piercer said going up a size every 2 weeks is fine. Is that a red flag? Stretching lobes, by the way.
Yeah, it's way too fast. As far as like a red flag, they might be a good piercer. They might just be uninformed or not, educated to the level of the classes that I've taken. But it does take a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks for skin cells to replenish and rejuvenate back to a normal status. Now, what I mean by that is if your skin cells are kind of like interlocking, kind of like brick, and when you stretch, you create these little tiny gaps. You can see how you can almost see through those little gaps, and it takes a minute or two for all these little gaps in here to refill back up to where it's normal tissue again. See, the thing is, if you stretch and it doesn't fill back up and you stretch again, now you have this huge gap, which is a rip or a tear, creating scar tissue, and you get all these micro tears, and it makes it tougher to stretch in the future, and it makes it tougher for your piercing to close. The goal here is to go nice, slow, and steady so it doesn't hurt. Some people are naturally really stretchy, and that could be the situation with this person too, where it's like, if your jewelry just falls in, you're not overstretching, but the thing is a lot of people said, oh, they said I can do it in 2 weeks, and you shove the taper in there. That's going to hurt. It's going to do a lot of damage, and that's where we run into problems. So generally a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks, unless the jewelry just falls in on its own.
Hi, Kelsey. Kelsey just stopped in to say
hi. Hey, Kelsey, what's up?
Cool. Let's see what else we got. This one's from Savannah. Why does my nose ring always point forward instead of straight down? Like from the side, it always points forward towards the tip of my nose.
Do you think they're wearing a ring or a stud?
My guess is that she's talking about the angle of the angle of the piercing. That
Yeah.
it isn't necessarily perpendicular.
That was kind of my guess, because normally, like, everyone's nose shape is different, and we try to go perpendicular to where it goes out. But some people, like myself, I have a flatter nose. I have my mantis piercings, but I mean, those gems are going to face straight out. And if you go closer to the tip, sometimes that gem does point out in that direction, because we're trying to go perpendicular to the tissue, which makes a perfect T. Otherwise, if it's like going the long way through like this, it actually creates weak points, and that's what causes bumps and things to form on your nose. But some people do heal it at that funky angle, and that means that gem might not be pointing in the direction you like. So either it's pierced closer to the tip of your nose, or it's pierced not perpendicular to your nostril would be my guess. And if it really bothers you, you could take it out. You could have it pierced at a different angle or in a different spot.
Awesome. We've got one from Karsten Crossley. Is it
Cool.
good? Is it good that my septum piercing doesn't hurt anymore? I've had it for almost 2 months. We'll be going on 2 months in December. When do you think it will be healed, and when can I get another piercing? I sort of paraphrased that.
Yes. It's good news that it doesn't heal anymore. It doesn't hurt anymore. It's probably healed. Generally, you have about a month and a half, 2 months, and these are pretty well healed up, especially if they're pierced properly through the actual septum and not the cartilage. I apologize right now. It sounds like they're doing lawn work outside, out in the park right out here. So if you can hear that, hopefully that ends soon. But anyways, yeah, these heal up super, super quick. If that's all you had healing, go ahead, get another piercing or two. It's like, yeah, you're healed, you're back to normal. You can definitely afford getting another piercing. I encourage it. And you can change your jewelry pretty much whenever you're ready then too. Good question. Congratulations.
Yeah, there are a couple good ones. So this is from Vince Navarrete. I got my tragus pierced 4 months ago, and I feel as if my ear is plugged. I'm wondering if maybe a nerve was hit, or maybe it just takes a long time to heal.
Plugged. Okay, so if it feels like it's been plugged the whole time, maybe you should try to see about getting some ear cleaner, some ear drops. Once in a while, when you do a piercing, there is bleeding, and maybe there could have been blood dropped down your ear. But I can't imagine hitting a nerve would cause it to sound plugged like that. That to me says fluids. Now, it also could not be necessarily blood, but you could have had a lot of crusties and drainage, and that could have caused in there to cause any sort of plugging or muting that you're hearing. That'd be my guess. So I would say get an ear cleaner would be my... Otherwise, I can't imagine a nerve would do that. Nova, have you ever heard of anything like this before?
No. The only thing that I could think of is maybe there's just an inordinate amount of swelling, and that's maybe causing some swelling of the ear canal or something along those lines that's making it feel plugged.
Did they say it's been several months now, though?
4 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be done by now, unless you're having problems and the jewelry's too tight. So, yeah, I would say maybe get an ear cleaner and take a look at it. If it's really swollen, go talk to your piercer, figure out what's going on. Something's wrong then if that's the case. But my guess, if I had to lean towards one, it'd probably be like the crusties that kind of went in your ear and kind of, yeah, gross. It happens.
Here's a cool question from Nox Lumina. Hey, may I ask how long you've had your bridge piercing? Have you had to take it out and then re-pierce it again at some point? I just took mine out a month ago, and I want to get it redone again.
Yeah, I've had my bridge pierced like 5 or 6 times. If you take a close look, it looks like Swiss cheese up there. In my experience, I have way better luck at a larger gauge. Mine was pierced at a 12 gauge, and it was way happier at the 12 than the 14. I've had 16s in the past, which just upset it terribly. So I would do a minimum of 14 gauge. And also you have to have the right anatomy for it. I have a lot of loose tissue there. Now, my piercing has been there... I can't remember the last time I had it pierced. Probably 12 plus years. I've had it a long time now. Yeah. Yeah, this is before I moved to Vegas, and I've been out here almost 11 years. So, yeah, I'd say 12 or 13 years old.
Nice. I'm going to hop around here because I want to make sure that we get to these next...
I'll let you find a spot to ask here, but I just want to point this out because we're only going to be doing about an hour today, so it's going to be a little shorter stream. Save all these great questions, if you have one, for my new piercing show. It's called The Piercing Show, and you can send video questions of yourself so you can actually point to your piercing, show us exactly what you got going on. Say, hey, my name's so-and-so. I'm from Arkansas or Alaska or Canada or wherever you might be from, and my piercing is this, and that way we can see. And then I'm going to discuss this question with a guest piercer who's going to be on the show. I already have a couple guest piercers lined up. And if you're a piercer and you're interested in being on the show, send me an email. Again, it's to thepiercingshow@gmail.com. So, thank you. I appreciate that.
So we're hopping around a little bit. I will come back, but I do want to ask this question. This one's from Ainsley Hillman. Have any of your clients ever successfully healed dahlia piercings while also being a musician? I'm a brass player and have always wondered if the muscles around my mouth would cause issues with healing, which I thought was a really cool question.
That's a fantastic question. I cannot answer that saying that I know my dahlia clients are musicians. I don't really know. I don't think so. I've never really played any sort of instrument of any horn or things like that, so I don't know how it would affect. Nova, do you have any opinions on this one?
Yes. I find like any oral piercings, if you're a brass player in particular, like it's gonna cause issues just because of the way you have to manipulate your mouth. The guitar player in my band is also a very, very good trumpet player, so he's kind of explained to me, and it's like you're constantly putting pressure on it, and dahlias are already difficult to heal. I would anticipate that those wouldn't heal with somebody that was playing brass.
What if you had healed dahlias and then went back to the horn? Do you think you could pull it off? You'd have to take off several months from playing, which would suck.
You'd have to take off several months from playing, and I feel dahlias are one of those that can like flare up years down the road.
Yeah.
So I think that it is probably difficult. Really any oral piercings, but especially dahlias, I think could cause.
Yeah. Now the thing about how you like your cheeks kind of flare out and kind of back and forth, so it even cause problems probably with cheek piercings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Again, we are going to backtrack, but I do want to get this question out.
Sure.
This one's from Nikki Chu. As someone who's been in the industry for a while, I was wondering what your stance was for tattoo piercing shop employees getting work done by other piercers/artists. Is it betraying the shop?
No.
I'm new in the industry, and I've been told not to cross boundaries with other shops, even though they offer different services than we do.
Some shops feel like, oh, we have trade secrets. We're all doing the same stuff. It's not like there's a trade secret. And if you have a favorite artist, you go see them. It's like if you're in a band and like, oh, I'm not going to go watch any other bands because my band's the best, and I'll just watch live performances of myself or have like, no, you have to venture out. It's art. You collect art from different artists. Now, me personally, as far as like the tattoos go, I work with a lot of tattooers or have in the past, and it was important for me to get worked by them because they're my friends. Okay. That didn't mean I only got worked on by them. I go to the artist that is specialized in that thing. And I don't know, that's the way it was in Minnesota. When I was in Minnesota working at tattoo shops, a lot of tattoo artists, they come in like, hey, check it out, I got this. I went over to whatever this shop and got this done by so-and-so, or, and that's how you grow as an artist. You got to work at or look at other people's work, go to other people and watch what they're doing. Ask them questions. I get piercers from other shops all the time coming to get pierced by me, and they're like, hey, and they'll ask me questions and I'll answer them all day long. So I personally think the shop is wrong by saying you only get work done by here. You should be able to go to any shop you want to get work done. I don't necessarily agree with working at other shops, working at 2 or 3 shops. You work at one shop, but you can collect from other shops. And Nova, what do you think about that?
Yeah, same. I mean,
it's not betrayal.
No, all the last shop that I worked at was both tattoo and piercing, and a lot of our tattoo artists got tattooed by artists from other shops.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely don't think it's a betrayal.
The one thing I will say is I do have a pretty amazing leg piece. It's of the dark crystal, and my friend Tom Strom did it, and we have like 200 and 150 hours or almost 200. We have a lot of time into it, and it's highly detailed. And whenever I worked at a shop, people come in and go, whoa, that's amazing. Which one of your artists did that? And then you have to kind of look at them and go, it's from another shop. That's what makes it tough. It does, but, don't get such good tattoos then, I guess, right?
Right. Right. Alrighty. Let's go to Caitlin Wright. I think that's where we were.
Cool.
Hey, I just got a hidden helix piercing. It's pierced with a little flat back. Do you know of any good online place who sells the right jewelry for a hidden helix for when it's ready to change?
The only shop I've ever said and sent to people is Body Art Forums on, it's a website. It's like a conglomerate of a bunch of different brands, and they tell you what brand you're actually buying from, so you're getting quality jewelry. Because when you go to like Etsy, Amazon, some of these other random body jewelry companies online, a lot of them are lower quality. And I can also tell you that a lot of those people sell you stuff that is not truly what they say it is. I've seen wrong sizes sent to people saying, oh, it's supposed to be 1/2 inch and it's 1/4 inch. The wrong gauges being sent in between sizes. Everyone's just trying to make a buck. Everyone's trying to make some money and they think they can jump in the game. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can't sell someone the right piece of jewelry. And then online, I don't know, it's tough. And if the place takes returns, that's a big red flag, because where's your jewelry been before it was put inside you? So.
Great question.
Yeah.
This one's from Pirelli913. Less a question, more a shout out. Hey, Scott, met you last week when Kelsey pierced my eyebrow. She also Wolverined my double helix.
I remember you. That was
I remember you too.
Pretty awesome, man. Thanks for being here. And Wolverined, yeah, basically what that means is if you have two piercings right next to each other, you hold two needles together parallel like this, and you're able to do two piercings at one time. I personally have never done a Wolverine piercing like that before. I've seen it done with up to 3 piercings on a helix one time. Pretty awesome, as long as you have the control. And the piercings turned out dope. They were incredibly perfectly aligned and perfectly straight. So congratulations on that one. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, it was cool. One last question from Swamp Bass. Is it normal for a regular nostril piercing to feel sore sometimes after 5 months?
Yeah. If you catch a towel or a shirt on there and it gets yanked or snagged, it's going to get a little tender for a little bit. And it does happen all the time. And I'd probably say, I'm not going to call you a liar, but if you've never caught your nose jewelry on something, you're an amazing human being, because I think all of us have got it caught and snagged. And, it could be a pillowcase. It could, it gets you by surprise. It's like a little loop on a shirt and it grabs a hold or something, It doesn't take much for them to get irritated. And even just sleeping on it, it doesn't hurt anymore, and you're sleeping on it and your jewelry's being twisted because you're sleeping so hard, you have that intense dream. It's going to get sore in the morning. Yep, you're normal.
All right, another one from Ainsley Hillman. This is a good question. I'm going on a trip in about a month, and I'm wondering how travel could interfere with getting new piercings. Are there any piercings that carry less or more risk while traveling by plane?
Okay. When you get a fresh piercing and you go on a plane, the altitude can sometimes cause more bleeding. I've never seen problems, but it might be a little bit more bloody when you get off the plane. Not the end of the world. But my concern is if you have a problem while you're traveling with a fresh healing piercing, where do you go? Who do you trust? I've seen people go to other countries and come back with little vials of black soot that they're supposed to put on their piercing with no labels on there. Are you going to a touristy area like Las Vegas, where there's a lot of people who just target tourists and they're just going to want your money and put a new piece of jewelry or try to get you re-pierced, So that's also another factor. And then the other thing is, if you're going on vacation, you don't want to have to worry about your piercing. You don't have to worry about cleaning it every day. You don't have to worry about not going on a specific ride or going in the water because you have a fresh piercing. All these things are factors. So if you know you're going on vacation, you're best off waiting to get the piercing till afterwards. Now, I know you probably want that new navel or whatever so it looks great on the beach, but you're not healed up enough. It's probably going to be red, and it's just not worth it. I hope that answers your question. It's probably not what you wanted to hear, but that's the truth.
Agreed. I would also add, where are you going? Are you going to be swimming? Is it in the ocean? Because that is also
You don't want a staph infection.
indeed. All right, we got one from Brick Johnson, which is a sick name.
Brick Johnson. That sounds tough. I love it.
Yeah. What would you? Speaking of tough, what would you recommend? A scrotum or a guiche piercing?
That's a good question. It depends on what you're looking for. You know, first of all, scrotum piercing is anywhere. Like you got the penis and you got the scrotum, which is the sac here. You can pierce on the front, on the sides. But if you go on the back side up by the area where the taint where is in between, like the backside of the scrotum and the anus, that is where the guiche is. So if you want it just to be decorative, I would say go scrotum. Now, if you're trying to get a little pleasure out of there, sometimes people will wear weights so it can kind of actually like stimulate the backside of the scrotum while walking and moving. It's not a lot, but you can get something out of it. I personally have had them both. I prefer the scrotum over the guiche because I had a tough time sitting down when I first got my guiche because I had a ring put in there and it was really uncomfortable and I had to like kind of pull the jewelry out of the side and I was like, this just isn't practical. So I retired by piercing. Other people get them and love them. Maybe it was my placement. Maybe it was the jewelry size. I don't know. But that's kind of what it comes down to is like the guiche has a little bit more functionality to it, but it's not seen. And then the scrotum has no functionality really, but it is purely decorative. That's my 2 cents. Thanks for asking.
Cool. We've got one from, let's see, Ash. Is urban body jewelry legit? Do you have? I'm not familiar with them.
I know Matt, he has a YouTube channel as well, Urban Body Jewelry, and he's very knowledgeable and he's never ordered anything from Urban Body Jewelry. I don't know if it's externally threaded or internally threaded. Being he's out at APP every year, I'd be surprised that it would be low quality jewelry. But I don't know exactly what it is. Hey Nova, can you pull that up on the Google and type in Urban Body Jewelry and just look up images and see what kind of things pop up, see if it's internally or externally threaded?
Sure. I'm actually slightly ahead of you. I am about to pull it up, but it is internally threaded.
It is. Good, good. So then I'm pretty sure it's pretty high quality stuff. It might be steel, it might be titanium. They definitely label it, but I would trust Matt. Matt's a cool guy. So, and Matt, if you're watching, what's up, dude? See him at APP every year.
Do you still want me to bring it up?
Yeah, bring it up. Let's take a look here.
Cool. Give me 1 second.
So we're trying something new here. We got a new setup here in the office, and we got a special room, the control room. That's where Nova's going to start asking questions. And yeah, so Urban Body Jewelry here. Straight barbells. Really inexpensive jewelry. So that means it's a pair of G23 titanium. I wonder if this is a European thing because we're not supposed to be using the G23. I don't remember what. Do you remember talking about that with me, Nova?
Yeah, we looked it up.
What was it? There was
G23 it's a different grade of titanium, and it's not. It isn't implant grade. It's
not implant grade titanium, but it's going to be better than the steel. But it's not the. Yeah, it's fairly inexpensive prices. That's why it's not the ASTM F136 titanium. And you see like the plastic beads on there, so it's mid-grade jewelry. I'm not going to say it's the worst, but it's definitely not the best. I love how they have internally threaded stuff. Normally the plastic beads on there are going to be externally threaded. I'm looking for stuff. But anyways, yeah, that's Urban Body Jewelry. It wouldn't be my first pick, but if you're looking for just a bunch of fun novelty jewelry to wear, that's what you do. But it's not good piercing jewelry.
This is an apt question for this one from August Vamplu. Scott, I sent you an email a while ago. Do you still do the what should I get pierced?
Okay, so part of the reason why I'm doing this live chat today is to push some information on the new show I have coming out called The Piercing Show. Now, I have stopped doing the What Should I Get Pierced series in that format. Now, in the next month or so or less, I'm going to have a new show out, and I'm going to have guest piercers where we're going to do the what should I get pierced together, so we can actually discuss it at the same time live here. So so it's still going to be coming out, but I haven't done them in a long time. I'm just changing the format of how it's being done. Good question. It's a fun one, and it's like, I don't know, I think it'd be even better if I have another piercer, like my guest piercer, and we just discuss, like talking like the Rook, oh, you get two, like, oh, but if they have this and this, and I just think it's going to be a really good thing and be even more informative this way. So you stay tuned. It'll be on the next episode of The Piercing Show. And if you guys want to be on The Piercing Show, I am looking for live video questions. Like you guys are asking me here. Instead of doing it here, all you need to do is pull out your phone in a nice lit area and say, hey, my name's Scott. I'm from Las Vegas. I have a bridge piercing. I've had it for 3 years, and it's recently acted up. It's got these huge bumps. I don't know what to do. I've not changed my jewelry. I'm getting crusty, so I'm using aftercare again. Any input or any suggestions, you know, and then send it to ThePiercingShow@gmail.com, and I'll be able to show you on the show, and we'll be able to talk to you that way. It'll be pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So, all right, Nova, next question.
Alrighty, sorry about that. All right, we've got Lassa. Let's see, 4 new piercings.
Cool.
Lobes, helix. I guess that would mean two helix piercings.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
Had an MRI 2 weeks ago. My piercer replaced with glass. Glass fell out. Put plastic in. Need second MRI. Worried about switching again.
Okay, so the piercings are a month old?
No, I think it just said had an MRI 2 weeks ago, and the glass fell out, and she needs a second MRI and is worried about going back to the retainers.
Yeah, retainers are a temporary quick fix. They're not meant to be worn over long periods of time. I don't know if you just put it in, went in, and they fell out during the MRI, but generally there's little rubber bands, little O-rings on the back that kind of hold it in place. Sometimes you can buy them actually smaller than the actual size, so it fits on a lot tighter. But if you've been wearing it since the first one and you lost it in between, that's the problem. It's like these are temporary fixes. You put it in and then you switch back to your jewelry as soon as you're done, so the jewelry doesn't fall out, because that's what does happen. You can do the plastic ones if it's healed up enough. The plastic ones generally have a little groove on there which can hold it in place. Again, if it's a healed piercing, it's just a temporary hold. It shouldn't affect it too detrimentally if you have it in for a short amount of time. Is that what they were asking?
Yep.
Okay.
I think so.
Cool. That's the way I took it. Good luck to you. Hopefully you figured out all that stuff for the MRI. Right.
All right, we've got, I think it's Illith Slith.
Okay. Illith.
What do you do if crusties get pulled inside?
Cry and whine and go, why did I do this piercing? After all of that, I will clean my piercing. If you are not around your wound wash spray, just get a clean cup, a drinking cup, put some water in there, and if you soak your piercing in that cup, it should soften up the crusties where you can take a paper towel and wipe it off. If you have access to your wound wash spray, definitely spray with the wound wash, let it sit, and then try to get those crusties out as best you can. If you can soak it, in that cup, if the crusty's inside, that's going to soften up the crusty the easiest before the wound wash. But you soften it up and get it out because it's scratching and irritating. Yeah, that's the worst part about piercings, in my opinion. Those darn crusties.
Indeed.
Those darn crusties.
All right, so Cactus with Stripes. Hey, from Estonia. Got a fresh problem on an old mod. It happened yesterday.
Okay.
I have an 8mm Helix punch. Had it since 2015, and I've been wearing a gold ring stack since 2020. Yesterday morning, my African gray parrot was faster than me, and he bit one of the rings, and I didn't notice he bent the hinge during the day. It scratched my ear pretty badly. I had to take them all out because of irritation on the bottom. Any advice?
Oh, hopefully you can get a normal size plug back in there. because sometimes when you wear a stacked, it can kind of misshape it a little bit. But if you have a cartilage punch, it should retain its size. But try to get some jewelry back in there. The smooth plug is going to be much more comfortable as a bunch of rings inside there, and it's just going to take some time. You know, just the emu oil is going to help heal it back up. It sounds like it's just a scratch. It's not the end of the world, but I'm pretty sure it's probably swollen up and it seems like the end of the world. So get a plug back in there and just wear the plug for until it's healed back up, and then go back to the stack. But you should be all right. But I hear you. I've been through it before. I've never worn a stack, but I've had my flats get pretty sore and irritated from O-rings getting pulled inside or jewelry falling out, having to re-stretch it back open. So, yep.
All right, we've got one from Psycho Dude.
What's up, Psycho Dude?
Hey, Scott, what would you recommend if you wanted a 4-gauge second lobe piercing? Pierce at a 6-gauge and stretch to 4, or just pierce at a 4-gauge or something else? Thanks.
Okay. So here's the deal, and I actually wanted to bring this up too. Large gauge piercings. Now, if you just like piercings and you want to go big right away, I don't suggest going large gauge. Now, if you already have a bunch of mods and a bunch of tattoos, a bunch of piercings, I will do large gauge stuff on you. But recently I've had an influx of people who've had no piercings going, I just want to go big. I don't know how big I want to go. I'll see if I like it. And it's like, that's not what this is all about. And that's going to give piercings a bad name if I start doing that to people who don't have them. I'm not saying you don't have them, but what I do want to say to you is if you're planning on going to a 4, you should probably pierce at maybe an 8 or a 6 max. Because when you do the piercing at the 6, generally within a month or so, the hole gets loose enough to where the flare gets pulled through the inside and you have to stretch up. So that means you're going to have to go to at least to a 4. And sometimes it does it one more time till it tightens up a little bit more. So if your end goal is a 4, I would say probably an 8 or a 6 would be the biggest you should pierce it at. And yeah, I mean, there's always something to be said about stretching your piercings too. You know, it's like when we do a piercing, we're not removing tissue, making a crescent incision, pushing it off to the side. And if you start smaller, if you decide to take it out, it's not going to leave as big of a scar. Now, if you already have some stretched ears and you want to do a large one next to it and the hole goes into it, that's going to be a big cut. You're better off taking the jewelry out, letting it shrink back up so it doesn't affect your first holes if they stretch into the second ones, if that makes any sense. Nova, back me up. Did that make any sense?
Yeah.
All right,
exactly.
Cool. So that's my 2 cents. You pierce big is going to have to be stretched up in the future. So pierce smaller than your goal size.
We got a follow-up from Lassa, the MRI person.
Yes.
Let's see. My 4 ear piercings are new. Lobes are 2 weeks and helix are 2 months. Flat. Let's see. Helix 2 months. Flat 4 months.
Gotcha. So yeah, again, like you think like less trauma is better by not changing them in and out, but wearing those glass plugs, there's the concern of it risk of it falling out, and then wearing the acrylics are generally in there better. But the acrylic's not good for a fresh piercing. So, but you have to get the MRI, so you have to put some retainers in there. They will close otherwise.
Yep. And for what it's worth, I actually have had MRIs with jewelry in. As long as you're wearing implant grade titanium, you should be okay. A lot of MRI techs will, like, if you ask your piercer for, they're called MIL certifications, MILL. Oftentimes they will accept that.
I will also say there's a lot of times they won't accept it, Nova. And the reason why is because they don't trust that that's actually what you're showing them. You know, because the thing is with an MRI is if you put a magnetic piece of jewelry in there, it's going to rip right out of the piercing, and they don't want to be liable for it. So I think a lot of it comes down to is that MRI technician trusting you saying it is what it is.
Yep, that makes sense.
So that's why a lot of them won't do it. I have heard of them doing that before, and that's cool. But the thing is like a lot of people say, oh yeah, it's titanium. And then you come to find out like this is the cheapest piece of steel. I don't even know what this is. But people think they know what they're wearing. And again, you're buying stuff on Amazon, and Amazon lied to you. And you're buying it from Etsy, and Etsy lied to you saying it's this or it's this, and it actually isn't. That's where the mil-spec sheets will help. But they also need to trust that you got the mil-spec from the same thing that you're wearing the jewelry in. So, Great question. It's always been a big thing of debate.
Agreed. Or we've got one from Phil Johnson. Hey,
What's up?
Scott. You guys are awesome. New to this. Do you
Thank
have
you.
any tips to clean piercings that are really close to the ridge, where you can't really get in there without moving the stud out of the way? Thanks.
Yes. Basically, what you want to be doing. Let me see if I have any wound wash here. I think I do. Yeah. So this is wound wash spray. This is Neomed. This is the brand that I personally prefer. Now, when you say something's close to the edge, I'm saying it's like maybe in your ear like this. This comes out in a nice gentle mist. It's kind of dead here, but anyways, you spray directly on the front and directly on the back. And after about 2 minutes, any of the crusties, dried lymph fluids that would be on there are going to be so soft that you can take a paper towel and roll it up into a point and use that to kind of sneak in between those little crevices and get the crusties out of there for you. Make sure those crusties are soft, and then like you take a paper towel, not a Q-tip. If you use Q-tips, cotton balls, the cotton fibers will wrap around. They get pulled inside. There's my hiccups. I get them every episode. So, no cotton balls, no Q-tips, cotton swabs, no cotton residue left behind. Just use paper towels or a piece of gauze. There you go. Good luck to you.
Good luck, Phil. All right, how about Tide Pup? Have you ever had a rhino piercing or have any stories on what the experience is like? I'm looking to get one once I find a piercer I'm comfortable enough with.
Sure. I've never had one before, and a rhino piercing is a curved barbell through the tip of the nose. It's pretty darn extreme. To my understanding, they heal really nice. They're not too problematic unless you're hitting your nose on everything or getting caught on something. You know, like a normal nostril piercing, you get caught. It's going to be a longer heal than normal because you're going through the cartilage. So I'd say expect probably 6 months to a year before that thing's fully healed up. Do you want to pull up a rhino piercing? Show people? Because it's a really cool piercing.
Give me one moment.
It's really cool piercing. So, but yeah, the thing is it's going to be swollen, so you have to put a longer bar in there. You want to downsize, and I think once you downsize, you shouldn't have any problems. It's not that common of a piercing. It's one of the rarest piercings, so you're not going to find piercers with a lot of experience of piercing rhinos. Yeah, I mean, you see that, like the vertical? Man, that septral up top with the stretch, oh, that's just insane. But yeah, little curved barbell right through the tip of the nose. It's a little pinchy, but it's not that bad. It's funny how everyone mislabels things. Some of the things, you got mantises up there and
all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. But that's a rhino. You know, put a couple of spikes on there. You have the little spikes like an actual rhinoceros. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Just don't use it like a horn.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Cool. So this one's from Flo. Hello, Scott. Is it necessary to downsize a third lobe piercing?
What's up, Flo? Necessary? No, unless it's bothering you. Okay. Now, the thing is a lot of cartilage piercings, if you don't downsize, the angle can kind of shift and change, and they'll migrate, and it might not be in the position you want. Now, the thing is earlobes are a lot softer tissue, and there's nothing really pushing or distorting it, so a lot of times it stays in the position you need. Now, if the bar is too long and it's getting caught on things, then I would say downsize. But if it's not getting caught and it doesn't bother you, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all.
Awesome. From Sophie. Hi, I had to take out my 5-year-old horizontal nipple piercings due to early signs of rejection in early August. How long do I have to wait to re-pierce on a diagonal?
On a diagonal? Okay. So generally I tell people wait until the piercing is going to be closed up. Excuse me. And it takes a minimum of about a month for things to kind of seal and close up for something like that. Once in a blue moon, piercings will stay open, but the chance of a nipple piercing that's migrating to stay open is pretty slim. Now, you had horizontal, and you're talking about doing diagonal, I'm guessing down like this. So you're only going through a small percentage in the middle. So honestly, I would say give it a month, and you should be totally fine to get re-pierced. Now, if you're going in the exact same spot, just a little bit deeper, then I would say several months, but I think after a month, you should be good to go.
Cool. This one's from iShow. You often advise to go see a professional piercer, but I have gotten a ton of bad advice from the pros in my past, and I'm still looking for a good one. So why don't you make a video called Mistakes Professional Piercers Tend to Make, or something that can get attention to them to educate them.
Ah. Common mistakes that piercers make. Cool. I'll definitely look into that. That's a really good idea for a video and something we could definitely talk about because, yeah, it'd also be really good for you guys too because like, if you saw that video and you saw like, oh, my piercer is doing this is kind of a red flag. It tells you what the red flags are. If you don't know what red flags to look for, other than everything looks like it was opened up in packages, they had piercings. It seemed like they know what they're doing, but sometimes they're saying stuff that shouldn't be done. So great point. I will definitely look into that.
I can answer for Hu Tao. Is your shop open today? Yes, we are open today, but we are appointment only even for jewelry shopping.
Yep. Kelsey said there was some openings this afternoon, but I don't know for how much longer. She said there's only like an hour gap or something, so. The website tells you all the hours. Book in advance.
Piercing.Vegas.
Yes.
This one's from, I'm having trouble pronouncing this one, Fatese, Faytse. Greetings from Australia. I got my septum pierced about a month ago. I flipped the circular barbell in my nose from day one. Neomed twice a day. Minimal crusties. Is it normal to still feel tender?
Yeah, sometimes it is. Septums, when pierced properly, go through that thin mucous membrane. Now, even though you hit the thin mucous membrane and it seems healed, sometimes we're next to the cartilage and it's almost like a small bruising on the cartilage where it can be a little tender for a little bit longer, but even though it seems healed. So totally normal. Just give it some time and it will start feeling more and more comfortable as time goes on. But that's what it is probably rubbing up against the cartilage. It may not have hit the cartilage, but it's right next to it.
Alice Durrell asked if we could see your dark crystal tattoos. Maybe on a 200,000 subscriber tattoo reveal.
There we go. That's been on my list for a long time, is to actually do kind of a mapping out and show you all my tattoos and all my piercings. Not all of them. That'd be a little creepy. Get banned from YouTube. No, but I have probably like 350 hours or more of tattoos on my body. I've been pierced probably, I think, over 400 times at this point. So I'd love to make a chart and tell you all the piercings I have gone through, what I've healed, what problems I've had with them. But yeah, I do want to show you that tattoo, but I need to get a good picture of it. And I don't know how to do it without being all weird and awkward and trying to stand on this table, which is probably not sturdy enough to hold my giant size. Yeah, I'll show you guys someday. It's really cool. It's really amazing. I think, honestly, even if you Google the dark crystal tattoo, I think a lot of my leg pops up. So, yeah. I don't know if it's labeled or not, but Tom Strom did it. And if you do that, you'll see some of them. I know the Skeksis is on there, and maybe Jin and Kira. If you haven't seen the movie The Dark Crystal, it's a cool movie, too. All right. Next question.
Awesome. From a fellow Scott, Scott Emerson Pace. Hi.
What's up, Scott?
Hi. I have a navel piercing that is 30 years old and suddenly is irritated and sore and has some pus. It has never bothered me before in 30 years. I didn't bump it or irritate it in any way that I know of. Any advice?
Yes. Sometimes when we get sick, our piercings can flare up and it doesn't make any sense. But I know my nipples always flare up as soon as I start getting the cold or the flu. And if you start taking multivitamins, that can help out quite a bit. Now, you also need to kind of think what's changed in your life. Do you have a different job? Is there a new counter you're leaning up against that leans up a certain way? Did you change your laundry detergent, your fabric softener, the sheets on your bed? Do you have a new animal that's jumping up on your belly? All of these things are factors. You may not have caught or snagged it, but make sure that the bead's screwed all the way in, because maybe like that little gap, if it's not screwed all the way in, is catching and kind of causing the irritation. There's a lot of factors. So figure out what's changed. Otherwise, you might be getting sick, and just take some multivitamins or vitamin C, and that might make it feel better. Don't take the jewelry out. If you take it out while it's irritated, a lot of times they close real quick. Just be patient. It'll come back to normal, hopefully fairly quick for you. Sometimes this happens. It'll last for maybe up to a week or so.
I've also found in like long-term piercings, sometimes when there's irritation, that it depends on the quality of the jewelry that's in there. Sometimes over time, like little bumps and scratches can form on jewelry that can cause issues.
And the reason that would happen is because it's not a biocompatible metal. If your piercing was 30 years old and they were using some different low-end steel, you might not have had any problems. But over the years, like Nova said, it's like it might have pitted a little bit and gotten not smooth enough to stay away from causing those problems. So that's why. And that's what we talk about for biocompatibility. Like the implant grade titanium, the ASTM F136 titanium doesn't break down over time. And that G23 titanium we were looking at earlier can. And that's the difference.
Cool. Follow up from Fatesy. And when can I change from an initial circular barbell into a clicker? And that would be for a septum piercing.
Once you're done with your crusties and it seems pretty well healed up, if I remember right, you said about 2 months old. Is that what I said?
Something like that.
Somewhere around there. So yeah, generally it's between the 2 and 3 month range where if you're done with crusties, no soreness, you're probably okay to change it. If it's just a little tender once in a while, it probably won't affect it. And if it does, just switch back. Sometimes, you know, if you switch back right away, problems generally don't arise. So. And I'm going to say this again here. We're not going to go for much long. Do you know how much time we've gone by, Nova? We don't have a clock out here, so I don't know how long we've been going. I lose track of time so quick. But the reason we're doing this today is I need your help. I need some video questions sent to ThePiercingShow@gmail.com because I have a new show coming out, and we're going to feature you guys asking questions on your phone and maybe showing us the piercing, what's going on. And it's just going to be a lot more informative. I can answer the questions a lot deeper, and I'm going to have the guest help me answer these questions at the same time. So again, ask a question. You can be on my show and send it to ThePiercingShow@gmail.com. Thank you. And if you guys haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Definitely hit the subscribe. That's the thing that makes the biggest difference for us here. So it really does make a difference. All right. How are we doing, Nova?
Good. We've been going for about 56 minutes at this point.
Right on. Let's go like another 10 or 15 minutes and we'll call it.
Sounds good.
Do we have more questions? Or
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. I know. We can never get caught up on these things. Save those questions and send them to that the email, ThePiercingShow@gmail.com.
So we got one from Foggy. I took my not fully healed vertical labrae out 2 weeks ago. And was hoping to replace it with a regular labrae. How long should I wait until I get that pierced?
Just wait till the redness and the scar tissue kind of dissipate a little tiny bit. You're going to see a little bit of a dimple, and I'm sure it's closed. But if it's still kind of like has that reddish, purplish, you know, scar tissue look behind it, like start massaging it. And once it looks like it's normal colored tissue, you're totally fine to get the normal labret pierced. It's a completely different angle. You just don't want to do a piercing next to scar tissue because it keeps that discolored scar tissue there forever. Even you can be healed up in like 10 years, you still have that redness by the side, and it's frustrating. So that's what you're waiting for.
Here's one from Evan J. Piercing.
Okay.
Good to see you again. Appreciate your time and the experience you share with us. Is a double rejected surface piercing a red flag for doing it a third time?
Yes.
The first two were done with curved barbells.
Oof. Okay. Now the thing is, Nova, can you Google rejected surface piercing? And there's some pretty nasty scars. Now the thing is when a surface piercing rejects, that tissue is only, they say, 70% as strong as the normal tissue. So if it rejected once, it's even more likely to reject a second time. Now, if you're going in the exact same spot, the chance of it rejecting, even with the surface bar, is probably even higher than with that curved barbell. So you're going to need to probably find a different location, slightly above there. You see like the nape piercing, this is piercing rejection, signs, prevention, like right in the middle. Yeah, right where the arrow's pointing. See how they went below it? That is more important. So now it's going to stay. But if they put that up in that upper scar tissue area, it will not heal. And that is why, yeah, see how these surface bar, that one is reject, yeah, right where he's pointing to right now. If you let it go that far, like you can never get it re-pierced in that same spot again. You need to remove it. And if it just slightly rejects, it's not a big deal. But if it comes all the way out, it's got to go. Like that upper, all the way to the top, Nova, Like that big one we were looking at, what you're on right now, yeah, that is bad. You cannot pierce through that again and have any luck of healing that up. So that's my 2 cents on that. You can get close to it, but don't go through it. All right. And everyone, say thanks to Nova for being behind the scenes and running the whole. I know he's a little intimidated because there's a lot of buttons to push, but he's doing a pretty kick-ass job. So thanks, Nova. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a lot of buttons there.
Oh, yeah. Cool. We've got one from Alice. Still looking for a local piercer, but it's starting to get cold, and unusually cold enough for me to want to wear a hat. Would you suggest waiting till the warmer months for a new piercing?
No, not necessarily. I'm from Minnesota, and over half the year is winter there, and I prefer getting pierced in the winter, even with hats, so that way you can go swimming in the summertime. Cartilage piercings take a long, long time to heal up, and if you find the right hat, it's good. It's not a big deal. You know, you got to wash your hats. You know, hopefully you wash your hats. I mean, it's something some people don't think about, but yeah, putting a dirty hat on an open wound is going to get infected. But if you keep it clean, it's like putting your piercing on a clean pillowcase. So that's kind of the factor. Also, if you have like knit hats or something that's going to get caught on the jewelry, that would be an issue. And maybe don't get pierced with any prong set jewelry, you know, where it's more likely to get stuck on things like that. Get like a regular bead, less likely to get caught on hats and scarves and things to keep your ear warm. So you definitely don't want to get frostbite on there. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I think you should get pierced year-round or whatever works best for you. If you don't go swimming in the summertime, wait till summertime. Then you don't have to worry about the hats. But if you want to go swimming, you have to get pierced in the winter.
Good answer.
Thank you.
This one is from Michaela Schaefer. The name is Joe. Okay. I didn't plan that out. Sorry. How long before piercing bumps become permanent?
I wish I had an exact answer for you. Sometimes it's several months. Sometimes it's a year. The longer you leave a bump formed, the more likely it is to stay. So if you can't get rid of it after like 3 or 4 months, in my opinion, start over. You know, if it's a nostril piercing and you can't get rid of it after a month, I say start over, because nostril piercings are generally healed up in a month. You know, so if you're dealing with that, and it's not worth it, you know, when you could take it out and have it looking perfect again in a month and hopefully not get the bump the second time around. Bumps generally are because of irritation and something we have done to it. Get it caught on a towel, sleeping on it, and hopefully you learn your lesson. Now, sometimes piercing bumps happen because piercers pierce at wrong angles, and then the bump won't ever really go away until the jewelry's out anyways. So if you have a bump, you got to talk to your piercer about that one. Every person's scar is different. There's no true answer, but I would say as little as 3 months.
Cool. We've got one from Boop.
Poop?
Boop. B-O-O-P.
Oh, okay. I misheard you. I was like, what?
Sorry. Boop. Yes. I have a question.
Sure.
My nipple piercings have migrated a little. Would upsizing to a larger gauge bar help this at all? And then they clarified that the piercings are 14 gauge on a diagonal, 5 years old, have had minimal issues with after the 1 year mark, and do not show signs of rejection. Much love from New Zealand.
Cool. I'm going to say props to you for the way you asked your question. That was really well done, because there's migration and then there's rejection. And you said it perfectly. They're not rejecting, they're migrating. They've changed and altered angles a little tiny bit. And sometimes our body's going to do that for comfort level. You know, if you're sleeping on a certain way every night, it's going to kind of adjust to where it's comfortable. Going to a larger size isn't going to necessarily stop it from migrating to a more comfortable position. So it's more of a comfort level or a looks thing. You know, if you want the looks of a bigger one, you could definitely go bigger. If you're into like nipple play and they get pulled on, and, you know, having a larger gauge is definitely more comfortable than that thinner wire, because it kind of has that cheese cutter effect. But at this point, they're pretty well established. They're going to be in there. It's just the way you were sleeping on it or something, and it just kind of adjusted to make itself more comfortable. I have a feeling they're probably done twisting or moving around after 5 years. Good question. Well worded.
Agreed. I love this name. Here's one from Flamingo Blubber.
I've never seen a fat flamingo.
It's true.
What a great name. Yeah, cool.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
I'm trying to stretch my lobes from a 6 up to a 4 gauge and having a difficult time since my ears have never liked to stretch well. Any advice to make it easier?
Massaging your ears. That's the only advice I can really give to you. Now, for myself, when I had my earlobes, I loved cocoa butter. Okay, it's in between an ointment and a lotion, so it stays a little bit more oily for a little bit longer and keeps that moisture in there, so it's a little bit more pliable. Now, some people naturally stretch easier, some people don't stretch naturally, I guess. I had a friend who had like 00 in his earlobes. He's been piercing as long as I have, and he could never get past 00. His ears would not go. And sometimes that happens. I've also had friends who I've pierced and like they're up to 00 after a couple months, and it's like, you need to stop. And they're like, if I don't, I mean, like the jewelry, they lean over and the jewelry falls out. It's not like I was stretching them. They were just putting jewelry in and it fell in. So everyone's completely different. Minimum of a month and a half to 2 months between each stretch. That doesn't mean you should be able to get up to that at that size. Sometimes it's longer. That's the minimum time between stretches. Maybe doing in between sizes can really help, like getting some glass jewelry that, like, so instead of going from like a 4 gauge right to the 2, go from a 4 to a 3 to a 2. And yeah, sometimes taping can also help too, by using like Teflon tape, like the white plumber's tape, and you put 1 or 2 wraps around your plug and you put that in, and that's a much more gradual way to stretch up once you get to a slightly larger size, like 2 gauge or bigger. Yeah, it's a struggle. It's a battle. I wish you luck. All right, we'll probably take one more question here.
All right, one more question. Let me pick a good one.
And before we take this question, I'm looking for more questions from you guys. Send a video question asking, showing exactly, say, hey, my plug's like, it won't stretch. It's, you know, like it's this tight. I've had it in for this many months. And I'll be able to answer that question for you. Send it to ThePiercingShow@gmail.com. It's in the description down below. And if you're a piercer who watches the show and you want to be a guest on that show, send me a little email to that same ThePiercingShow@gmail.com, and we'll eventually get you on here as a guest too. I want people from all over the world, all over the country. I want every different demographic to be a guest on the show so we can talk of all aspects, and it's going to spread the word much further to your community. So, Nova, do we have any questions?
Sure, yes we do.
All right.
Real quick before one though, I wanted to point out Richard Colwell. Hi Scott, I've been a body piercer for 17 years. Just wanted to say thank you so much for everything you do to teach some piercing education. I recommend your videos to all of my clients.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the community. Education's the key. You're absolutely right. And if you're interested in being on the show, hit me up. Might be kind of fun. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And as the last one, I think an awesome question. What's a good tip you would give to someone who wants to start piercing?
Okay, the best advice I can give to you to start off is to not do piercings. Okay, it's a weird thing. Say, I want to be a piercer, so don't do them. What I'm saying is don't practice on your friends. To get an apprenticeship, we really look down on people who do home piercings. It's not safe, it's not clean, and that's starting you on the wrong foot. It also shows that you're a little bit more careless. We need someone who's methodical and very clean about things. And I don't want to have to backtrack taking out bad habits that you've already gotten by doing piercings yourself. So that being said, if you want to, you could study anatomy and physiology, learn the body, study all the piercings. I suppose go through my videos and look at every individual piercing you can get and understand what they are and where they are and what jewelry goes in those spots. There's seminars like the Fakir Intensives, and then there's different other people on social media, like Ryan Ouellette has the Piercing Wizard podcast. You can sign up for his stuff. He's going to give a bunch of good information. Now, all of that is stuff you can do before you get the apprenticeship. Then you need to seek out an apprenticeship. Find a piercer with experience who will teach you the ropes. Generally, this takes a minimum of 6 months. I personally think it takes a year to 2 years to do a full, thorough apprenticeship. Once you're done with the apprenticeship, you'll have a license, and hopefully where you got the apprenticeship will give you a job. Don't just go to a place that's like, yeah, I'll teach you, and then throw you out to the wolves, because trying to find a job without experience is really, really tough to do. So that is my advice. Don't do home piercings. Educate yourself on piercings as much as you can, and then find that apprenticeship with a good quality teacher. Now, that is where we're going to wind this up today. I appreciate all of you for being here, asking all these amazing questions. Again, I'm looking for more questions at ThePiercingShow@gmail.com. Send that video to me, well lit. And of course, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and of course, keep putting holes in your body. We'll see you all in the next video.